Friday on Bay Hill News Network from 5:50 a.m. Be touched by their singing, their words of encouragement, and their prayer as they continue to advance God's kingdom throughout the world. Be a part of the crowd and get your healing. Weekday morning, Monday to Friday from 5:50 a.m. on Bay Hill News Network.
For you weekly motivational talk, join Shona every Monday at 7:30 p.m. on www.bayhillnews.net.
Bay Hill News Network presents Inside Health, 30-minute program in which we explore the human body and functions. We'll share real-life stories and the latest in medical science as we look at related diseases, conditions, and determinants of health that affect quality of life. So join me, Vin Abbott, on Monday evenings from 8 for Inside Health on Bay Hill News Net, also on KincadiRadio.info.
Greetings, divine light. I am Vaughn, a divine being having an experience on earth for the one infinite creator, which is the I am. Join me on this Tuesday and every Tuesday on www.bayhillnewsnet for We Heal Nations, where we discuss healing through finding out truth and accepting it, loving and celebrating everyone and everything that we do, regardless how small or how big. Peace and love. Join me for enlightenment.
To call into Bay Hills News Network, the number to dial is 1784-529-8518.
Great news! Spectra Plus is now rolling out internet and TV services in St. Lucia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Yes, better service and better prices from the new and improved Spectra Plus. Spectra Plus TV plans for $59.99 per month, VAT included. Adult TV 3 channels plus $29.99. For more information, call 1784-534-2551 or 1784-532-2501. Fast, reliable broadband and television services for your home or business. Spectra Plus TV, internet, better. Looking for a place to relax with natural cool breeze and friendly surroundings? Then check the Bay Hill Tree Bar, located at Bay Hill Cane Garden. We have everything a bar will have. We also sell Shell 20-pound cooking gas at the Bay Hill Tree Bar.
Join your host, Ross Bishai, for Stepping into the Light every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Bay Hill Online Radio and Kincadi Radio. Ross Bishai steps into the light of food and agriculture, culture and liberty. Stepping into the light lifts the level of your self-consciousness, activates your collective security genetic code, raises your earthly vibrations. To win in this Armageddon, you must listen to Stepping into the Light with host Ross Bishai.
To call into Bay Hills News Network, the number to dial is 1784-529-8518.
Sound Blast Entertainment exclusive rental. We have LED bars, LED chairs, LED tables, trussing, speakers, and stage available. Bring your event to life with exclusive party rentals. For more information, contact 1-784-493-1361. 1-784-493-1361.
Circling the globe, circling the nations. This is Bell the Nation. Bell the Nation. Bell the Nation. The biggest conversation on this side of the globe. I am Dr. Doris Charles, your hostess. Why not join us on Mondays at 3:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. and on Thursdays at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. for your bi-weekly editions of Bell the Nation. If you need to hear conversations on current happenings and more, then invite a friend and tune in to www.bayhillnews.net. It's about radical radio right around the world. Bell the Nation. It's a program that highlights issues that touch and concern people's lives. It's about the how, the why, the when, the where, the what, and the who of benevolence, education, jurisprudence, legitimacy, down to earth, no nonsense, affirmative action, talent, and training. It is informative. It's about opinions and, of course, nation building. Looking forward to your comments and calls. 1-784-529-8518 or email us at belgianation@gmail.com. Get in touch again at 1-784-529-8518 or email us at belgianation@gmail.com. Circling the globe, circling the nations. This is Bell the Nation. Bell the Nation. Bell the Nation. The biggest conversation on this side of the globe. I am Dr. Doris Charles, your hostess. Why not join us on Mondays at 3:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. and on Thursdays at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. for your bi-weekly editions of Bell the Nation. If you need to hear conversations on current happenings and more, then invite a friend and tune in to www.bayhillnews.net. It's about radical radio right around the world. Bell the Nation. It's a program that highlights issues that touch and concern people's lives. It's about the how, the why, the when, the where, the what, and the who of benevolence, education, jurisprudence, legitimacy, down to earth, no nonsense, affirmative action, talent, and training. It is informative. It's about opinions and, of course, nation building. Looking forward to your comments and calls. 1-784-529-8518 or email us at belgianation@gmail.com. Get in touch again at 1-784-529-8518 or email us at belgianation@gmail.com. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, from wherever you are in this world, we are welcoming you to the bi-weekly program of Bell the Nation here at www.bayhillnews.net, our main sponsors for the programs, the series of programs that we have had. Today is Monday the 23rd of May, 2022, and all day today is Monday the 23rd of May. So welcome one and welcome all. As usual, we have a very special guest with us this evening, and she's going to be telling you about herself just now. She's Miss Jeanine Oliver, better known as Jeannie, popularly known as Jeannie, all over the Caribbean, and I guess you're all over the world. Welcome very much, Jeannie.
Thank you very much, yes. And it's a pleasure, my greatest pleasure, being here to speak with you, my cousin.
Yes, indeed.
On national issue.
I was coming to that. We have been working together now for many years.
Many years.
Yes. And it's not
since in the government service.
That's right, yes.
And we're both retired now.
Both retired, mine 22 years.
Okay, I'm just just wetting my feet in terms of becoming a retired civil servant. And it is great to have you in our midst. It was what, about nearly 6 years ago, I found that I am an Oliver, I am a Belmar, and then later on I found that I am a Frederick, and the list goes on. Snag and Dorothy, the connections from the Grenadines.
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
And we welcome you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So welcome, cousin, to this program. And it's not that cousin's taking over the whole show. But indeed, gender-based violence, we are collaborating on this evening, gender-based violence in St. Vincent and Grenadines. And just before we get there, I will tell you that roughly 10 to 15 minutes, we have little slots that I'll ring this bell. Some people want to know, well, why the bell? I think I was motivated to come out on the road some months ago, more than 7 months ago, and just shaking up this nation, giving them a sound about the issues that touch and concern human lives and livelihood here in St. Vincent. So that is my focus. I transfer the bell, the concept of the bell, to the Belly Nation program. You know?
Very good name.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fabulous name.
Thank you. Okay. Micah chapter 6 and verse 8 says, He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with our God, with your God. You know, just about, over a week ago, we have been faced with something that I've never seen before in all my life, and that is the destruction of human life, but in a way that has been absolutely horrific. Precious Williams lost her life, and if you hear the retelling of that story, so this little slot here we have, it's gone off this and that, so I'll spend 5 minutes and I'll talk about that, and then afterward we'll deal with gender-based violence.
Go right ahead, we need to.
I mean, 17 years, all kind of questions came into my mind, you know. Where was the mother of that 17-year-old child? Who was the boyfriend? Because you're picking up all these things on the internet. Why is it that they did her what they did? Why chop her up like that?
Why so brutal?
Why so brutal? What could have motivated an individual to have sliced? It's like you're cutting up meat, pieces of meat, and you have women in St. Vincent and Grenadines, and men too. We just sit and accept this. And we say, well, probably, you know, mankind heart has gone so wicked now, and we have degenerated to another level. Whatever it is, we are calling for calm, we are calling for peace, we are calling for some sense of order in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because for the Caribbean, I think this has been the worst for the year so far.
The worst in years.
Worst in years.
Worst in years. I mean, we have to address the issue. There is no alternative. I mean, and the persons, the target is our young people.
Correct.
These are our future generation.
Absolutely.
These are our leaders.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So when we destroy them, we hack them. Who are we going to see to lead our country?
My thing about it, too, what humbug me, what really humbug my vision, is to see a little child, what do you call it, performing the act of fellatio,
yes,
which is sucking the penis
yes,
of a man. They claim that it was supposed to be what if it's a father figure in the house or what. But that's immaterial, it's a grown man. Big people, do your big people business. But when it comes to our children in St. Vincent and Grenadines, we've got to leave them alone. One day I was at a particular place and I heard somebody call again to say that a 12-year-old child was also performing an act or caught in the act, and that was on social media. And these guys, the young people in this country, just look at the issue and they just kicks about it.
But in the first case with the father and the 4-year-old,
talk to me.
I mean, how can you do that? Your child, this is an infant, doesn't know better, and the way when you saw how it was done, or what was done and how it was done, you have to realize and you come to the conclusion that the child was trained, will be groomed in terms of the professionalism in which it was done. But the other one with the 12-year-old and the 3 guys, 3 schoolboys and a 12-year-old, and they were a lot older than she was.
And then you have to ask your question, ask as to where their parents.
Yes.
It was the responsibility of parents these days to allow their children out of their sight. I remember growing up in the Vermont area where our mothers and fathers were quite vigilant. I'm noticing that these days that there are some parents who now they don't want you to talk to their children. So the whole concept of where a village raised a child, that has gone through
that's
the
gone
door.
through the door. Not gone. It has flown through the door.
Okay.
It has fallen to the door. Nobody, you can't speak to a child if you see a child misbehaving on the street, and they will turn and they will curse you. In our day, the complaint was made to mommy or daddy. You got licks, the teacher will beat, mommy and daddy will beat, and you'll be scolded, and a number of the things that you were allowed to do will be taken away from you. All the privileges will be taken. And then you have to go to apologize to the person that you were being rude to the community person that you were being rude to.
So this has much to do now with, I don't know, probably it's a change of focus within the society in which we are living at this time. I don't know.
It's the change of focus. Is that we have too many young parents. Not that we didn't have young parents years ago. But my dear cousin, what happened is that we used to have a PTA meetings, we used to have parenting programs organized and presented to the parents at different levels.
I must say that my children, the last one is 31, will be 31 this year. So I am not too much now in touch with the Parent Teachers Association. So we have Parent Teachers Associations mobilized and functioning these days.
They're functioning, but it seems as though they're more focusing on fundraising. Raising funds to meet the challenges within the schools, to pay security, to do whatever, to purchase items for school, to ensure that the children, the proper methodologies and whatever equipment are needed, right? But the focus is not on the parent understanding the challenges that children face, not only at home, but with their peers and in the classroom, and speaking with them about how you address them. I mean, those things were done. In my day as president of the Girls' High School, let's decentralize the meetings. If you had a large number of parents from Georgetown, for example, we went to Georgetown and we had a meeting. Similarly, if there was a high concentration of parents in America, we went to America and we had PTA meetings. So you decentralize meetings. So at least those who couldn't come because of transportation issues and work issues based on where they were employed, you met them where they were. They had the opportunity to.
Transitioning from us talking about these young children performing the acts of fellatio and the horrific act that to which Precious Williams lost her life. We will touch now on gender-based violence. But just to say this, you're listening to Bell the Nation. Bell the Nation coming to you live from St. Vincent and the Grenadines right here in the Caribbean. And we're coming to you compliments, BayHillNews.net, www.bayhillnews.net. Look us up on the net. Some years ago, I realized that you were championing the cause of women, and then afterwards there was a shift. The women's desk became the gender affairs. And anybody that was looking at you or talking to you in some way, they would say, that's a gender affairs woman, She's no longer a woman, she's gender. And you would hear that from some of our civil servants up and down the place. And I must say this, that for years I've admired your, just your gusto, your enthusiasm. You walk gender, you talk gender, you live gender.
I feel it.
And you feel it. You
Yes.
felt it.
I feel it.
What gender, this whole concept of gender, what does that mean to you as a former, should I say
As former public servant, a former Women's Affairs Director,
yes.
it only named the gender because they placed a man there, one male is placed there.
Okay.
So even though the woman's agenda is
Yes.
still not complete,
Right.
it is gender, because you want to make certain that the men are the issues that the men undergo are already included.
Okay.
So gender-based violence refers to harmful acts, anything harmful directed to any individual based on the gender. So if it's a woman,
Yeah.
it is whatever harmful acts, whether it's a threat, an action, whatever is done, it is directed to the individual based on whether they are male or whether they are female.
So if I slap a man, bam, in his face, what's that? He is on the receiving end of a slap from me. So, and then I bust his face. All his blood down, as we would say locally. What's that?
It is gender-based violence.
It's a gender-based violence.
You are the perpetrator. You are perpetrating an act of violence against him because of the fact that he is man, his gender. Because of that, it is termed the gender-based violence, because it is a harmful act directed at him based on his gender. And if it were a woman, same thing.
And I beat him down because I didn't want him to come to work in the same place that I was working. I kicked him down because of somehow or the other I didn't like him. So I motivated by some
jealousy, some sort of extreme situation, something that is happening that you don't want him to be able to manage and to operate within that circle.
Okay. So those were at least a few examples of gender-based violence. They tell me that there are some causes of gender-based violence, like harmful gender norms. They tell me another thing like hunger, and another thing about war and conflict.
Yeah.
But in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, when it comes to war, we don't have war like, let's say, other countries that we are actually focusing on these days.
Yes.
But conflict, we don't have things like forced marriages and so on.
No.
But what about this whole concept?
Well, you have the whole business of the stereotyping.
Talk to us about it.
You have the whole business of the gender stereotyping and the gender prejudice, right? Where some of our brothers feel, and same thing with some of our sisters, feel that we could only hold certain positions. And that has to do with the way we were brought up, our socialization. Women only supposed to do certain things and men only supposed to do certain
So let me talk about some of these things. Women only supposed to be in the kitchen, cooking food.
Yeah.
Women only supposed to be the cleaning. They can't own the company, but they can work with the persons who own the company. And they could clean and stuff like that. We can't be involved in let's say the construction industry.
No, we can't. So we can't put down tiles.
Can't put down tiles.
We can't build cupboards.
Right. Okay.
We can't construct houses.
Okay. So all those things are really supposed to be men jobs.
Yes.
Talk to us some more about
Same thing about men.
Okay.
Men not supposed to work in the hotel industry. They're not supposed to be cooking and cleaning.
Okay.
They're not supposed to be. Yes, they can run a bar.
Right.
Because they're selling drinks, and it is perceived that only men drink rum and drunk. But we women do it as well.
I heard my sister was drunk.
So there is that whole normative expectations of femininity and masculinity.
Not that I'm laughing at the women, but it's just to say, laughing at this whole concept.
Yes. The cultural factors, things that we are socialized. you're not supposed to, for men, our great grandfathers and our grandparents, you're not supposed to wear shorts.
Okay.
You're supposed to cover your skin. Okay? That's part of the socialization. But men could go in and you could see all the boxer shorts and nobody interfere with them. You're seeing all the bottom and nobody's interfering with them. So the cultural factors includes the gender stereotyping and the prejudice against either the male partner or the female partner. Okay?
Why is gender-based violence a problem? Why is that? What is it doing to our society when there is gender-based violence?
One, it is marginalizing us, whether it is male or female. It is ostracizing us, whether male or female. It makes us not having the self-esteem that we should have. Okay? Because we always thinking about what is considered norm out there. Would we be accepted by our community, our society in which we live? Huh? Would we be? I mean, the causes of gender-based violence has to do as well with the type of leadership and the leaders that we have in our Vincentian society. Okay? You look at somebody and you say, okay, they have a university degree.
Yes.
Okay? They have a university degree. So you have to listen to them. Okay? Because they have a degree. But mother who at home parenting and parenting very positively and have productive parents and children with norms and values, positive norms and values, because she ain't have the university degree, nobody bothers with her.
Yes.
She's looked down upon. Oh, she's only a parent, you know. So because nobody sends us to university to learn how to parent. You understand?
How do you call it? I'm reading quite a bit into this gender violence, gender-based violence. And you mentioned briefly about our leaders in our community. But the country as a whole, gender-based violence has a very heavy economic cost.
Yes.
That is what the narrative is saying here.
Yes.
This is from www.coe.international. It requires the involvement of different services, so medical, psychological, the police or the justice system, and it results in the loss of resources or of employment by victims. It makes people underachieve at work and in education, and it negatively affects their productivity. The narrative also says that many people who suffer from gender-based violence cannot stay at home and need a place to stay, which sometimes results in homelessness. Talk to me about that. Shelter services need to be provided for such people. And while there are services for abused women and their children in many places in Europe and elsewhere, although not in sufficient numbers, this says the inadequate number of shelters for LGBTQ LGBTQI people remains critical.
Yes.
So I am not one to ignore that the LGBTQI agenda exists, yes? I will not support and could not support persons who are practicing and from a spiritual standpoint, but nonetheless they're still human beings.
And they're part of our society.
Part of our society. And when we beat them up and we throw them under the bus, what the narrative is saying that gender-based violence has a very heavy economic cost. We still have to turn around from a medical standpoint and so on and help these people. Talk to us.
It takes a lot of money. Anytime gender-based violence occurs, you have, first of all, the police.
Yes.
It costs money.
Yes.
And it's not only that you're reporting it to them, they may have to leave where they are stationed. and provide transportation to go to the homes of whoever the victims are, so that they can dialogue with them, get information, okay? Because you need facts, you need statements to be able to be able to proceed. Okay?
Yes.
When you finish with the police now has to get in touch with the Gender Affairs Division, or they call Marion House.
Well,
okay.
I was coming to you with
all right.
Yes, okay. I'll come to you with that. Yes.
They now have to get in touch with you. It means that they have to leave the person's home and maybe drive to go to find the person who has responsibility for Gender Affairs Division, whichever officer is responsible. That officer now may have to accompany not only the police and the victim. In the meantime, the perpetrator is being arrested, taken in for questioning. While you deal with the victim, take the victim to the nearest health center. Okay? Nurses have to get paid. Sometimes the health center might be closed at a particular time, especially if it's a decentralized health center or clinic. So you might have limited staff, even though it's open, you might have limited staff. So then you have to deal with that. It costs money.
Yeah.
It costs a lot of money. And then you may have to do some stitches, some sutures, whatever the health terminology is.
Yes.
You may have to do some stitches. You may have to do an x-ray. You may have to call in the counselor to assist, because the victim will be distraught, right? Will be distraught and need to settle down in the sense of becoming calm, because at this point they are anxious. So you have to call the counselor. So you know how many persons we have dealt with thus far, and each of those has a cost. Each of those has a cost attached to it.
Yeah.
Okay, we ain't finished yet, you know. That is just the beginning.
Just the beginning. Yeah.
Then you have to follow up. The matter has to go to family court. The family court has to listen to you. The police has to take the matter to the court. The president or whoever has to set a date for the case. And then you have the case. And you don't have a case today and it ends today. Sometimes it's drawn out. All of that costs money. In addition, we have to think about the impact.
Psychologically on the
The
individual.
impact on the victim. And in the meantime, already on the perpetrator, because it's not only the victim. The perpetrator may have done what he did out of rage and jealousy and whatever it is. So you also have to deal with him or her. Because remember, it's gender-based. So the perpetrator could be either man or woman.
You're listening to Bell the Nation, coming to you live from and through the compliments of BayHillNews.net. BayHillNews.net. Look us up on the net. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us this evening Miss Jeannie Oliver, the former Gender Affairs Division Director of the Gender Affairs Division here at St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And she has graciously consented to be with us this evening to help us to understand what St. Vincent and the Grenadines is in need of, to identify the issues about gender-based violence, and to also offer us some suggestions on the way forward. But before we get into the suggestions part, I'd just like to pull something from the Council of Europe Istanbul Convention. We talked about types of gender-based violence, and I think we have touched on some of them. Psychological violence, stalking. physical violence, forced marriages, which we really don't have here in St. Vincent as far as I know. Sexual violence, including rape, and we have had just recently Luan Roberts, one of our counselors.
Yes.
May her soul rest in peace. She was a victim of sexual violence and eventually lost her life. You know, female genital mutilation. I've had opportunity to at least sit with some folks in the United Kingdom, and that was a big issue
In the African countries as
within the
well.
African countries
Yes.
as well. But in some communities that were affected or impacted by this through our churches, some of our churches, forced abortion and forced sterilization, sexual harassment, aiding or abetting and attempt, and unacceptable justifications for crimes, including crimes committed in the name of so-called honor. But some of these are not here, and not here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But you mentioned counselor, and I was going to ask you about support mechanisms in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and then somebody beat me to it by asking what are some of the support mechanisms in St. Vincent and the Grenadines besides I heard mentioned family court and police and counselor. So hold that, and also data on gender-based violence in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I think we have had a problem collecting data with the various agencies that we have spread throughout. I know we mean well, but in terms of collating that information, I was backtracking as well on the Child's Act and some information that you had sent, I think, in 2011. I've had the opportunity of going to, I think it was Geneva, sitting behind the Honorable Camilo Gonzalez and his presentations. I've had the opportunity of housing, at least we had a major, what do you call it, conference, a women's group asked for the use of the High Commission some years ago. When they talk about gender-based violence and so on, and how St. Vincent and the Grenadines was all the way up to the top in terms of certain crimes, I doubted them. I doubted them because the data was not there to support what was saying, but these were grassroots organizations, and they were in touch with St. Vincent and the Grenadines in a way that the High Commission at the time was not in touch. Yes. So I'm saying gender-based violence in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Where is the data?
Right. There is data available, but nobody wants to share the data. We, because from the level of Human Rights Association, are putting on a different hat. Because of the role that we play in dealing with reports that are submitted to the United Nations in particular. Once reports are submitted, the Human Rights Association and the UN office in Barbados, along with the US Embassy, will call on us, will forward a copy of the report and ask us for information. And we do get information, particularly from the family court.
Okay.
But we wouldn't get from the police, we will get from the family court. I don't know if there is some policy that says that it can't be shared and it shouldn't be shared, but we get our information mainly from the family court. Yes.
Okay, so police, family
we get the data. So you have the police in terms of the mechanism.
Yes.
You have the police, you have the Gender Affairs Division, you have Marion House, you have Human Rights Association, and you have there is a commission that was established by cabinet.
Is that the one where what's her name? Nicola Evans is head of? NTPC or
no,
something like that? That's another one.
The National Crime Prevention, NTRC.
Okay.
She's crime prevention. There's that's another mechanism. But there is a commission established by cabinet. The permanent secretary is the chair of the commission, and the network of NGOs or the NGO community is the vice chair. But we have the commission has not met for about 3 to 4 years.
What you say?
And we have been asking, as deputy chair, I have been asking for a meeting of the commission.
Who is the
particularly
PS that is responsible for the
PS
commission?
mobilization.
The PS of mobilization. Whom is that particular? Because they moved them around the other day,
Yes.
You know, and so I'm not quite sure.
The Freitas, I think, is the PS.
Okay, so please, Ms. De Freitas, if you're listening, or if anybody is listening to this program, please tell Ms. De Freitas that I will be calling her to find out, or I'll be visiting her office to find out exactly whether this is so. Because we have a claim by Miss, and I'm not saying Miss Oliver, cousin, I'm not saying that you are lying, but I cannot believe that if we have a PS that is responsible in this country to sit on a commission established by cabinet in order to help our nation cope with this onslaught of crimes
and gender-based violence.
And gender-based violence. I can't understand. Let me ring me bell on that. I got to ring my bell on that again. Ring my bell on that again. I cannot understand.
And
why is it that 3 years
and
is
it says, yes, and it is supposed to meet on a regular basis.
I came back here in 2017 and there are a whole heap of, what do you call it, committees that are set up. What is the sense of setting up these committees? And we have to pay people a salary. If they can't work, refuse to work, or are controlled by some other agenda that says, look, I don't think I am qualified enough to sit here. If not qualified, I'm not motivated. Step aside and give somebody else the opportunity.
Well, because
they
probably might think that you and I talked before, but that's exactly what I'm saying.
I am sitting here and I'm watching what is happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. 110,000 persons, how many thousand, 80-something thousand persons that are supposed to be eligible for voting. And we have voted our government into power, and we are saying, look, we put our hands up, we support that this is the current administration that has equipped the permanent secretary for the National Ministry of National Mobilization to establish cabinet, establish a commission to control, what do you call it?
Gender Equity Commission.
A Gender Equity Commission, and you're telling me that St. Vincent and the Grenadines, just recently, how many weekends? 2 or 3 weekends, we have seen gender-based violence, unprecedented in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I've never seen that, never. I've never seen that in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Let me ring my bell on that again.
But that is not the only commission. We have the Child Rights Committee.
Okay.
Which suppose this is Child's Month, May is Child's Month. The committee has not met for about 3 years as well.
No.
We also have a Juvenile Justice Reform Committee that is not meeting. So why are we setting up the committee? Giving specific persons responsibility to ensure that the committees function. And when we don't, people don't know, so they will blame the government. You understand? But these persons are there.
Here what I'm going to show a bombshell on you. I'm going to show a bombshell. You never contact all of these people.
Oh, you mean I physically wrote asking for a meeting at the Gender Equity Commission, when I did, and what propelled me so to do? The issue with the 5 and the 4-year-old. Because we needed to look, need to look at the legislation. And to look also at the number of years sentencing that is proposed in this legislation currently.
One of my contacts, because they would normally, if they don't call 1-784-529-8518, that's the number you're supposed to call for this program. 1-784-529-8518. If they don't call, and many of them call and tell others to tell me, they're not calling in because they're afraid that somebody will find out and recognize the voice, and tell somebody in the community. So we don't have a problem with that. So what they do is that they would send comments. And one of the comments that came to my phone, well, I should say more than once, from the folks in the UK who were listening to me, they're saying, look, the amount of things you're reading out there to say St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Ministry of National Mobilization, youth, and so on. He said, that's a joke. Why? Because it's not functioning. And you're saying the same thing, and that is God has to be burdening the hearts of conscientious Vincentian men and women here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and in the diaspora. This has nothing to do with politics.
Absolutely nothing.
It has to do with the maintenance of order, peace, and justice in the society in which we live. We have the police are hitting them. We have the family who are responsible. By the way, I'm not about policemen and women in this country.
Yes.
But those who are responsible for safeguarding the rights, safeguarding the safety and all of that of the incentives, young women and boys and girls, Family Court, Gender Affairs Division, Human Rights Association, National Crime Prevention, commission established by Cabinet, and the permanent secretary for the Ministry of National Mobilization is responsible for getting involved in the process and shaking. If she can go, if she has an alternate or delegate someone to be part of that, the Child Rights Committee, the Juvenile Justice Reform Committee, the Gender Equity Committee, and other. But we don't have anybody NGOs in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Talk to me about that.
Well,
talk to me about that.
Since 2001, I don't know what has happened to NGOs. I remember when we traveled, we used to boast in St. Vincent and the Grenadines of the most number of NGO per capita. Based on our size and our population. But I don't know what is going on. The National Youth Council don't function. The National Council of Women don't really function. Yes, they have activities now and then. But in terms of the organized group, functioning groups in the communities, they are not there.
What has happened? What, in your humble opinion? I've been away, like they took me away for like what, 10 years? Nearly 11 years. And then now, I up yonder talking about the other national issues and policies that touch and concern national development, and from my perspective up yonder, things seem to be quite dandy and nice. And then when I came back and retired, you know what opened my eyes to a lot of things? This is Soufriere. When Soufriere erupted, exposed a lot of things.
Vulnerabilities.
Yes, a lot of things that were happening. That's the reason why I became like this, in the sense that my eyes became more open, I became more sensitive. Some people say, oh, because you meet your father. Because, you know, Davis Frederick is a bit radical when it comes to quite a few things. I didn't know him until just recently, just nearly 3 years ago. But the issue is that I am beginning to understand that there is more that meets the eye than what we have in St. Vincent and Grenadines. It cannot just be about nice houses. In certain areas, people eat, dance, drink, and in
happy and be merry, and other people are poverty-stricken and marginalized and isolated and neglected. You see, the thing is with the NGOs, public servants had a responsibility and took that responsibility. The National Youth Council came under the youth department. You were in the public service. That was your ministry that dealt with youth.
I remember those.
So you had the persons in that ministry who had responsibility, all like Jimmy for them. Okay? They went out in the communities and they established, developed plans with the individual youth groups. And through monitoring and evaluation, they ensured that they functioned, and there were programs, ongoing programs all the time, because they not only had a policy, but they also policy translated into programming, right? Policy translated into programming. That don't happen anymore.
Why? What has happened in St. Vincent and the Grenadines? Don't answer the question, because
Exactly. Public servants need to do their work. The same thing with women. Same thing with gender affairs.
Let me ring the bell on that. Because if you're saying that public servants, that is explosive, you know, cousin, that is explosive. If you're saying that public servants need to do their job, are you saying that all public servants are not doing their job? Or are you saying that some public servants not doing their job? Or what? Define that, redefine that.
I am dealing with those who have specific responsibilities.
Yeah.
The ministry is named Ministry of National Mobilization. Just the name of the ministry should tell you as a public servant within that ministry what your role and responsibilities are. In my day, the National Council of Women did not have transportation. But when the department went out to the communities to hold discussions with the groups, the National Council of Women representative went with us.
Okay.
So that we could have been on the same wavelength, supporting the same group of forces. It wasn't government against NGO. And you had a gut feeling, you felt what you did within here.
Right. So are you saying that the cadre of civil servants that we now have, some of them that are dealing with the national policies that touch and concern the development of our nation, that they have changed? Are we having technocrats now who don't quite understand what the policy is, policy interpretation and implementation? Is it that? What is it that our nation need to be reawakened to in order to help us get cracking? Because it cut right across political colors, right across.
It has nothing to do with politics. Absolutely none.
With the development of this nation.
Of our people.
Because if we continue like this, what is going to happen is that tomorrow morning I could wake up, with 2 foot off?
Exactly. Who's going to continue the work? Somebody has to continue it.
I don't understand this.
Somebody has to continue it.
Citizens and Grenadines has degenerated to a level that is unrecognizable within this specific forum. National Youth Department, arise to the challenge. National Youth Development, arise to the challenge. We have policies, we have all these programs, everything right down on paper. We need now to get those into the mainstream, into the veins of our young people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Use the media more. Use the media more. We have more television and computers and all kinds of things.
We have more social media, so.
And it hurt my spirit to see a young woman get chopped up like piece of salvage down road. My father and my mother being inside a village and there's pieces of salvage cutlass. You chop up a woman and have her there. No! And they tell me a cocaine junkie must feel the bag. And then, come on, where is the collective conscience of St. Vincent and the Grenadines? So rise to this and say no.
Exactly. And it all has to do, you realize, my cousin, you realize that the policy, the national youth policy we have here is the old time policy. We're not looking at what has happened over the past how many years and to speak, because there ain't no young people to talk to because they're not organized, they're not mobilized and functioning.
We've got to organize again.
So they're not functioning. Same thing with the women. Who do the work in our society?
Women.
So how could they be so out of place that you're not mobilized and you're not functioning?
10,000 women in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 20,000 women in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Where are you? Arise.
There's a policy.
Women are
but there's not being implemented. We need to implement our policy.
I went recently to a workshop. You know, I sit on various committees in this place, and one of them had the opportunity to be sent to this particular seminar online, a virtual seminar. And there was a young lady who was giving us some instructions, and she started talking. I was looking at her, and I was saying, but wait a minute, don't I know her face? And I'm calling her name now. And that woman was able to mobilize us, motivate us. And I just said to her, I said, look, you're the next minister of investment. You're the next minister of agriculture in this country. She said, well, I didn't think so because, you know, well, I mean, she's concentrating on her family and so on. But here is it that you're striving, you want a particular something in your department for 15 years. You keep lobbying for it, and you can't get it. No, man, the civil service has changed. People have changed, and we need to get back to the place where we care for one another.
You got to feel, you got to feel it. You got to be there.
Yeah. You got to say, well, boy, if Jeannie hot in,
I hot in too. Exactly. Yeah, this selfish, individualistic.
We're not
like that.
No, something wrong. You see, look that little boy who sat down they found him dead.
Yes.
I mean, what kind of community have we come to? Have we evolved to such a place of disconnect where we don't know where? Many people said it. I see that child. Where is the mother for that child? How many days? Lazarus was in his grave for 4 days.
4 days.
And then is when he started to sing. So the child had to be in the grave anything for more than 4 days.
Yeah.
And we sit quietly by and fold our hands to say, oh, that happened to them over there, and nothing never happened to our community down there.
Not until it's on our shoes.
Vincentians, wake up. Vincentians, wake up. You're listening to Bell the Nation. Bell the Nation coming to you live from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the biggest conversation from this side of the globe. And we're coming to you with the compliments this evening, as usual. Compliments, BayHillNews.net. BayHillNews.net. Look us up on the net. My dear cousin, here is a call for action.
Of course, we got to.
How are we going to? One person said protecting women by improving the laws and policies. Protecting men and boys and girls by improving the laws and policies. Raising awareness of women's rights. Providing redress by strengthening institutional responses to gender-based violence. And raising the cost to men of engaging in gender-based violence by establishing or increased criminal sanctions. And implementation of national plans and policies against gender-based violence. We need people.
But we also have to listen.
Thank you.
We have got to use the greatest communication ever. We have to listen and we have to believe. It ain't make no sense we hear and we're not too interested or we don't believe. We have to listen and we have to believe. And we have to teach our generation. We have to teach this next generation, and we also have to listen to them and learn from them. Don't talk down to them. Speak with them. While we teach them, we also have to listen to them and to learn from them. We have to call for fit responses. Responses to that are being provided by the services. It ain't make no sense you say you have a particular service and the service are not dealing with the people. Don't tell me come back tomorrow. Because I come from Oya this morning. I might leave Oya without no breakfast.
I hear you.
Okay? And I come to town. And I come for a specific purpose. And after all of that, I'm hungry, I eat breakfast and I have lunch. And you will tell me come back tomorrow? Public servants they must be sensitive. They must be sensitive. And they also must believe in what the people are saying. Don't know if, no but, not in between. Respond to the persons that come to you. Not only intellectually, but with some sort of care and support and love. You have to learn the signs of abuse. And you have to also check on how you, as an individual, not only the agency that you work with, but also the agency can help. And you have to start a conversation like you and I have in here. And we can't leave it here. We have to go in our community with it. Maybe we need to to have some sort of demonstration. Maybe we need to have the conversation with the community so that they could understand better. Why this is wake the community, ring the bell on the community, man.
Yeah, ring the bell on the community here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Wake up, wake up. Vincentians, you are sleeping, wake up.
Yes, have the conversation, man. Have the conversation. Don't be afraid. We cannot be afraid.
Suppose I train this and suppose somebody said, but me afraid, you know, because if me minister, me not talk to the minister first, because the minister will give me some galvanize and some cement. And if me go look as if, well, me not going on a town hall meeting because he go look as if me
You're ungrateful.
Yeah, me ungrateful to the minister. Me go prefer to go in the house, the minister house, and tell him, well, something may happen to me daughter, like rape, you know, and so on. What would you say to some of those parents who would say that?
But the material that the minister gave you, you didn't take the money out of your pocket and buy it. It is taxpayers' money.
Ring my bell and that. Say that again.
The money, the materials that the minister gave you, are the poor relief that you're getting from mobilization. The money ain't come out the minister pocket.
Well,
it's not his personal money.
Well,
it's the government money that collected from taxation.
So
there's nothing ungrateful about that.
But what if the minister did give you a little help?
So who cares? You have a responsibility. The Domestic Violence Act says that if you know and you don't talk and you don't come forward and give information and anything happen, you can be held responsible.
That's why, you know, I broke my silence on my own personal issue with domestic violence.
But you have to, you don't have a choice.
Abuse. That's why I broke my silence.
All of us, that can make me a cousin.
That's right. I broke my silence on that. And after I broke my silence, it became an embarrassment to a few people. And then they start to label you now as if something gone wrong with you.
Yeah, mental.
Yes. I broke my silence on that because enough is enough.
Yeah.
Enough is enough.
Exactly.
Women, if you are in a situation, please speak up. Do not allow yourself to be made less than who you are. You know, I think I took away something from you.
But if you don't speak up, it's a breach of your basic human rights.
Absolutely.
You have a right to speak.
That's right.
You are a child of the universe.
Hallelujah. Don't make me break out.
You have a right to be here.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody has a right to infiltrate or to destroy your body.
That's right.
Your body is God's temple.
Correct.
My body is God's temple, so is yours.
Correct.
You don't treat yours, so why you want to treat mine like that?
Correct. I live on the, I shouldn't say a condemnation, but I live with the memory of some words that were issued to me.
Yes.
And I am saying to our women, if you live with those words, push back against those words. The words were like, I will kill you.
Yes. Yes.
Push back against those words. Push back.
Yes.
With God's help, you can continue to push back.
Yes.
Or if you leave me, there is nobody else who will get you. Push back against those words. Stand up, talk, tell somebody. Your church members may not believe you because sometimes the church people go to church with a big hat on your head.
Yes.
And you cover down
and
everything.
You cover. Yes.
Stand up and speak out.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to stand all alone if you have to.
But you wouldn't stand alone.
But that's how just
because my family and cousin, you have people like me, and you have people like you. So they will not be standing alone.
Okay.
We will not only speak with them, but we will go out and fight for them.
Exactly. And I'm saying that the narrative here as well from sdgs.un.org. One of the aspects of it was the 2030 agenda and the local world. There is a document called, I think it's the Montevideo, a human scale city, the Montevideo agenda, and there was highlight of the 2030 agenda there. We have things like the World Economic Forum, you have the United Nations, you have St. Vincent and the Grenadines pulling out bits and pieces of the 2030 agenda. leave no one behind, put sustainable development at the center of the agenda, transform economies to create jobs and inclusive growth, build peace and effective, open and accountable institutions for all, and forge a new global alliance. And he went on and on about this because this happened some years ago in
But
Uruguay.
you see, my family, you have to be able,
Yes.
you have to be able to get the people involved.
Correct. So
not only the
translate
government.
this. Correct. Translate it now to our local economy,
situation.
our local homes,
Yes.
our local societies.
Yeah.
And we've got to help St. Vincent and the Grenadines up another notch. I was just getting a call from one of my friends here. So I'm asking you please to call 1-784-529-8518. I know I have my few who would normally text from abroad. Yes, so, okay, so they are commending us for a good program that we are having this evening. And thank you very much for those persons in the UK and other places who have sent us commendation about issues that we are touching this evening. We talk about the lack of gender disaggregated data because you can't get data here and data there. Talk about domestic violence, we touch on it. And we talk also about the policies in St. Vincent and Grenadines that need to get cracking. You have all this paperwork.
Yes.
Report of St. Vincent and Grenadines in 2016.
You have the domestic, you have the gender-based violence policy document. It's
right.
there, but it's not being implemented.
So the question is, who is responsible for its implementation?
But you have specific departments that government has established.
And why is it that these people are not acting? Why is it they're not getting up and getting involved, more active involvement in putting, transferring, whatever it is written is written as policy, transfer that now into action.
The implementation is the issue. I don't know what is it. How can you sit, you see, my family, them not come outside and go in the community. They are sitting at their desk. You cannot sit at your desk and have a work done within the community. You remember you were in the ministry, you had community officers.
Of course, I remember people like Sandra Davis.
Exactly, you had Rosita Snag, you had Andrew Simmons, you had Clayton Morgan.
And all those guys used to put fire under our skin. And they say, okay, you're going out in the community, and when you finish it, we'll come back. And report.
And we used to go out as a team. Somebody from women, somebody from youth, somebody from sports, somebody from adult education, somebody from community, and we going out as a team.
You had Mr. Bullock, bless his soul, he died. And he used to be driving.
You had Charlie Stapleton.
And Charlie Stapleton from down North Leeward. And all the other people there, you had Larry, you had all those other guys. What he named Young. I think he's now the head of community development. I don't know if he retired. Roger Young. And so many others. Many others within that particular department. And one thing my former heads of department would say to us is that not because you belong to cooperative department, not because you belong to community development, not because you belong to social welfare department, you go out, there is an
Ministry committee, and you are speaking it and I am writing it. Look, you are speaking it and I am writing it. Ministerial committee.
An interministerial approach towards the development of people and people's lives.
I am getting goosebumps.
No, it's true.
We had an intermin committee which constituted a representative from each department in the ministry. And we functioned. When we went out as a team, as a group.
Correct.
We sat and discussed the issues that we were going to do.
Because we're working to one agenda.
Exactly, one agenda.
One agenda. The ministry's agenda.
I don't know what is going on.
The ministry's agenda. And ultimately, the agenda of the government of today.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we are responsible for the development of this nation. And not because you're in your office there, nice high heel shoes, big car, and all of that, you're responsible. We are sending you, paying you for a job, and the job must be well done. And so
you must be productive, man.
Of course, you just can't come to school, come to town. You have your children at the prep school, you have the children at CW Prescott. You go across, you take a break, and then you come back. And you did no. You've got to move beyond that. And civil servants who are listening to me, because I know some of you are listening to me. I'm not trying to be difficult.
No, we're not.
I'm not trying to be hard on you, unduly so. But I'm saying that we can continue to raise the bar on what we are doing in terms of the delivery, the deliverables to our nation. We've got to wake up. I don't know what has happened over the past 15, 20 years, but we've got to wake up. Wake up, protect our women by improving our laws and our policies, raise awareness of women's rights, provide redress by strengthening our institutional responses to gender-based violence, and raise the cost to men of engaging in gender-based violence by establishing or increasing criminal sanctions.
But we also have to get the men involved. We also have to get the men to support us.
Talk to me.
Those who are very sensitive, include them in our programming, include them in our conversations, so that they will walk with us and be positive and not be degrading or being negative. Degrading us, being negative, but to support us, we cannot, there can be no true development of women unless women and men walk together.
Let me ring my bell on that.
We cannot walk in isolation. We have to walk together for a better St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I don't care who we are, in which seat we sit in, we have to do that. And we must get out from our comfort zones in our various departments. Get out and go to the communities, form the youth groups, form the women's groups. Let the national policy and youth, the national policy and women, let them work for us because they are there. Let them work for us.
So what you're saying, first, is that there are policies that exist.
There are policies, there are existing policies.
They may need a bit of amendment.
Yes, they need to upgrade it in discussion with the woman if it's the woman, or in discussion with the youth if it's the youth policy. But you can't do that unless you have the functioning groups.
So what do you think would be the first thing in terms of a re-engineered, a revitalized, a shaking up of the communities in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Department of Youth? What's the first thing you think?
I understand that quite recently the National Youth Commission was reinstituted, or I don't know, but I saw something about that. So we have to deal with that first. The Youth Commission is the one with responsibility, because the Youth Commission works in tandem with the National Youth Council. So we have to get that moving and going. And each youth officer has responsibility. I don't know what happens now, but in my and your day, each youth officer had responsibility for a certain geographic location.
That's true.
So you go up and they were identified and they knew which area belonged to them. And the community officers were also a part of the networking team of the interministerial committee. So let us get them walking and go out and organize the groups.
I remember people like Phil Call.
Yes.
You know, you could just go to Phil Call and you say, well, Phil Call such and such, and right away he's able to say, well, here now such and such will be the case.
Yes, and even his mother Kathleen.
Okay, we have a call on the line. Hello?
Yes, good evening.
Yes, go right ahead, please. Hello?
So,
yes?
Congratulations for hosting such a lovely program. So I just want to make that.
Yes, go right ahead, please, caller.
The line is actually echoing from
Okay, so we are hearing you now. Yes, go ahead, please. Thank you for calling Bell the Nation.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you as well for accepting the call.
Yes.
I want to structure some of you things. First, I want to just clarify what is this gender-based violence. And if you could actually give me some clarity on it, that would help me before I continue.
Any sort of harmful action that is directed at any individual based on their gender, whether they be male or they be female.
Yeah, the reason why I asked that because we have to be mindful about the hidden agenda with the LGBT community. And I know I'm going to get a bit of stick with this because as far as I'm concerned, we all had a agenda from day one. So now talking about gender-based violence, I find it, I have a bit of concern with that terminology. And we have to be mindful about the slippery slope where we are actually doing that. Now, if we need to address, we are talking about gender-based violence, but you've mentioned some very key points, but there's some things that we still kind of like forgotten. Number one, from a social perspective, and Tony Giddens, who is one of the known sociologists, you know, there's a proof that there's a direct correlation between crime and poverty. It's not to say you find an excuse for it, but it has been proven. So, if you check the state of St. Vincent, now, poverty is actually on the increase.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say that this current government haven't done anything or improve any service in St. Vincent. But if you notice that we have a lot of schools which are still in dilapidated condition, which still hasn't been addressed. But this government can make sure that they can find enough money, not only to think about it, but construct a prison on completion. Now, is this a government that is really concerned about developing the nation, or this is a government that is concerned about creating criminals? Because we also have to understand that crime is money in crime, but who are the beneficiaries? Secondly, we live in the world of globalization, and now we have these games like Grand Auto Theft. Other games of violent nature, and we as parents are buying these games for our children. Now, we're talking about violence, but violence now become like a game. And if you're actually giving young minds these games to play, I'm not saying everybody would actually act out these games. I was surprised at the way our society.
Yes, yes.
I remember you. I also want to add it as well that every civil servant, they are servant of the people. So I'm glad that you're highlighting that. Some also want to just add more to it, that they are servant of the people. So it's time enough for we to start to hold people accountable. Because it's taxpayers' money, so it's everybody's money. And what concerns me, I want to know why people are always have to read at this.
Why what?
Why people, we didn't hear you.
And not being affected by politics.
I didn't hear that part.
So let us speak truth to power and let us see how to say. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, the last point you made, white people have to use a disclaimer, that's what you were saying?
Yeah, why we have to use a disclaimer whenever we're trying to actually call the leaders that is there politically? Why we always have to read a disclaimer to say I'm not getting political? Why shouldn't you? Because politics affects every aspect of our life, and they are there to represent us. So if they're not doing their job, what is wrong with mentioning that? Because just the same way, politics is no different than if you're employed by somebody. You have a job description, and if you're not meeting the requirements of what the job description is, you'll end up be disciplined and most likely be sacked. And politics is no different. We employ these people. They are our representatives. So if they're not fulfilling the job, there is a legal way of getting these people and release them. But now we have a leader who is appeared to be operating like an authoritative leader. And it's just like you cannot address anything because at the end of the day, you're going to feel scrutiny. So not going off the topic, we go back to, if you look at about 2 decades ago, we used to have a lot of violent crime in St. Vincent. And if you go back into physics, if you apply force, you're going to have an equal or opposing force. Now you look at, we are talking about gender-based violence, so we can't talk about gender-based violence and not include the police officers who are very aggressive in nature. Dialogue seems to be the last option of police, and I'm not generalizing our police because I know they are good cops. Now, for the last almost 2 decades, we have armed our policemen. St. Vincent is not a bad place. And are you surprised with the reaction of the public who would be arming themselves? And that is a natural law of physics. So when we're talking about violence, we have to address it in every aspect of crime, because the same people who should be there representing us, they are also immune to scrutiny and accountability. When is the last time that we have a police who have done something in compliance with the law, who will accountable for his action? So when we're speaking, we have to speak in total, identify every aspect of the service that is not representing the people. And I will close it where we to mention that we are living in a violent society. We have video games as a norm. Poverty and crime, there's a direct correlation. So we cannot expect to eradicate gender violence when we're not adjusting. It's just like we're trying to build a house from the roof. So we have to make sure that we address the poverty in St. Vincent because it is directly linked to criminal action. And this is something that can be proven from many aspects, and I can point to Anthony Giddens and Harry Lambus, and these are actually social experts. And also, when you go when you study macroeconomics, it's an illusion that politicians are giving you the impression that they want zero unemployment. But when you study macroeconomics, you realize unemployment is very important for every government. And I wouldn't go into that because that again is a discussion for another day.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, if we want to eradicate gender violence, we have to get to the root and not dealing with the surface.
Agreed.
Okay. All right.
Get to the root causes.
Yes, thank you very much, caller, for your this tremendous.
Thank you very much.
Yes, tremendous contribution this evening to our program. We have been given a few more minutes that we can actually at least provide some rebuttal. Yes, so thank you very much, caller. Social perspective.
Welcome.
Crime and poverty. The state of St. Vincent and Grenadines, poverty is on the increase. And that you were saying that you're not saying that this current government is not doing anything at all, but the schools are in a dilapidated condition.
It's not only the schools, it's a lot of the government buildings. Look at the back of post office.
Right. Oh yeah.
Look at the back of post office and to the side of post office that house the government buildings.
Correct.
They're knocked down, and then you have parking lot.
Yeah,
a lot of the police stations throughout the country, I went to Beckwith down to Patrick Farm, and I was flabbergasted, I was shocked. I was brought to tears looking at the police station. They now went the police and the clinic.
Yes, I've seen some clinics.
The clinics in the Patrick Farm is now in the community center, and the police is in the police station is in the community center. I don't know who have responsibility for maintaining these, But if you have some police officer in charge of the police station, doesn't that say to you that you have to mediate and lobby and advocate for, to make certain that your structure is kept intact? The police stations, all the government buildings, a lot of the government buildings throughout this country.
I went up to, what do you call up here, up there, all the way up Sandy Bay, and they were showing me an area where the police station is still under reconstruction, and 2 police officers, you know, they live in their own quarters, and so we don't have a police station really, not yet. You check all over the place, and you have a displacement of the police, and some folks may say, well, okay, not much crime happening in these communities, and you know, so there's allowance given for persons to just continue to live in abject poverty, and this is really hurtful. You were talking about the fact that the prison.
Yeah, you're going to build a prison, right? You're going to build a prison, prison that will house prisoners. Well, for me, you know. Don't put me there. Don't put me there. I want to tell you what I will do, but don't put me there, because there will be no more prison.
All right.
Okay? But we have to speak about the root causes of the gender-based violence. It all has to do not just with the crime and the poverty that exists within our country. And it's not just poverty without people, poor people without money. It's poverty of the mind. We have to look at that, the way people think, the way they reason. We have to look at that. I don't care what we say and what we do, but it all has one of the root cause is our whole business of socialization. And the gender roles, as we were talking earlier, speaking to earlier, that it is believed that we should play as male or as female in our society. No? We have, it's not just the abject poverty, it's not just the monies, but in the state of our mind and in how we live. We have to address this. We can't deal with gender-based violence or any domestic violence, any form of violence, unless we address the root cause. Some of our leaders prefer if we stay ignorant. Maybe that is why the national, the organizations, the youths and the women are not organized or mobilized and functioning, so that we can keep the youths in our communities not okay with what is going on.
I have a few tips for the youths, and I want to share these with you and to hear your comments. You're listening to Build the Nation. Build the Nation! Build the Nation! The biggest conversation from this side of the globe. Continue please to either call or send us your comments. Call us at 1-784-529-8518, or write us at Bell D Nation, BELLDNATION @gmail.com. Or as you have been doing, you can continue to send your comments to me, and you know how to reach me directly. Now, we are speaking this evening with Miss Jeannie Oliver, better known as Jeannie, the gender affairs woman. And you have been, you've since retired now for the past 22 years?
22 years.
Okay, but you have been championing the causes of gender issues,
Yes.
women's issues, women's rights. You have attended numerous conferences all over the world, and you have actually raised the bar on so many issues. And now, you know, going into, should I say, the sunset of your life?
No, my youths told me today, I have 30 youths in Kingston and 30 youths in Georgetown in a program.
Right.
And my youths told me today that You don't know where I get the energy from.
Okay, all right, okay. So tell me a little bit, and tell our listeners just a little bit more before we go into the tips for our youths to prevent gender-based violence and inequality. Tell us a little bit more about Marian House.
Marian House is the only professional counseling center in the country.
Okay.
It came into being in 1989. It came as a result of, and we talked about him a while ago, Andrew Simmons was conducting a survey for the National Children's Home, which is a Methodist agency in the UK, with regional office in Barbados. And they were looking at the issues or the challenges that youths face during that period of time. And so we had Marian House established, and we had a youth assistance program, funded of course by the National Children's Home. And then from there we realized we deal with children, but Picnic have parents too. So you have to deal with the parents, because when you realize that the children have challenges and they're exhibiting certain behaviors, you have to be able to speak with the parents. And some of the parents maybe were substance abusers and domestic violence victims, so we also focus on them. We provide service for substance abusers, and we have a domestic violence victim support group. And we also do one-on-one counseling or partner counseling, family counseling, group counseling. And we do decentralized programming.
Okay.
We also visit institutions like, for example, the Girls' Home.
Yes.
We visit and provide therapeutic sessions for the girls at the home. So we try as far as is possible. And our focus is on our youths. Do not interfere with them. Leave them alone, because we are very passionate about them and their role in our society. Programming for them. We run a full-time 1-year program, 6.5 months to 7 months of life skills at Marian House. Then they go to the Technical Institute and they learn a skill of their choice for 3 months, and after that they go out and they practice the skill where they are on attachment. At the end of the program, not only a certificate, but they are given a kit that they can become self-employed based on the skill that they would have learned, and they also get a check. They could partner with another colleague, and they could establish their own business, become their own entrepreneurs in their own rights.
Wonderful.
So, such as Marian House.
So, and the success rate over the years?
We had last year, we usually have an 80% employment rate.
Wonderful.
Last year we had 80.49, which is almost the, so we have gone a little bit beyond.
Okay, wonderful. Any appeal you want to make of, on behalf of Marian House to the general public in terms of support out there, or?
We have a lot of support from the business sector, the corporate sector, that provide internship for our youths when it's time for them to go out. And usually we have a lot of support from regional and international agencies. Our last funder provided 1.3 million EC dollars for our youth program. So we do have some support locally, regionally, and internationally.
Wonderful.
Right? Our Maria holder has been funding our program since 2019. And our youths have been reciprocating in terms of participating in the programs.
On behalf of BeHillNews.net and Belly Nation program, we are also the mouthpiece for the National Liberation Movement here in St. Vincent and Grenadines. We want to say how very pleased we are to have you among us. From time to time you may not recognize this, but we champion your cause. We say, yes, that's Jeannie, and we would be behind the scenes, sending people to you as well.
Okay, good.
And we have seen your work, and the Bible did say, do not be weary in well-doing.
Not at all.
So never mind, if somebody would ask you, well, where did you get your
energy from?
It is from. It's a divine
intervention.
Divine intervention.
Yes.
And personally, I want to say that I have admired you all these years, not realizing that we share the same genetic, our ancestral blood. But thank you very much for being one of our mentors for so many people here in St. Vincent and
Don't have a choice.
And across the region. And of course, you're going to have one or two persons who say, well, she's in there because every minute with this kind of thing about gender and all kind of story, you know. But the issue is you have more who are actually appreciative of your work than those who, and you do need one or two of the naysayers, you know, because you use them as manure for your growth.
Yes.
You use them as manure
totally.
for your growth. And
Totally.
again, I just want to say how very pleased we are to have you in our midst this evening, and to continue to inspire and educate generations to come, because you've laid a seed, yes, which in the midst of so many of us, in the minds of so many young people here, and gradually they in turn will continue to say, were it not for Marion House, I could not be the type of individual that I am.
As a matter of fact, I just had one of our 2017 youths passing in today and speaking with the present youths.
Wonderful.
Talking about his experience. He now has moved from local in Canawan to regional, and now he is international. He's working with a ship that goes to the UK.
Wonderful.
So
yes, ma'am. Yes, cousin. Congratulations for you for just being there as a nation builder for us here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
I don't have a choice. I think I'm called.
Yes, I hear you. The other thing
Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. That's what we are here for. Providing a platform, BayHillNews.net, Building Nation, the National Liberation Movement, collaborating together to providing this platform for nation builders like yourself. Tips for you to prevent gender-based violence and inequality. One of the tips, have several of them. One, acknowledge the role that gender plays in violence. And you'll agree with that?
Yes, certainly. And in your life.
Yes. Okay. Get informed. Do the research on the root causes of violence. And I think that you would have said that to us. What about young people in schools and women?
We have been going to schools and to health centers in collaboration with the National Mobilization, specifically the Gender Affairs Division. You see, the person who has responsibility for the Domestic Violence Center is one of my past students from St. Joseph's Convent, Kingston. So I have not lost. I have not lost that relationship and that contact. So she and I work collaboratively. So we go to the schools and we go to the health centers to speak with the parents and also with the children, the students. We just had last week, we just had a Zoom with intermediate high school parents.
Wonderful. So reading books and being informed. So read books and articles, join a group at school, but and attend any training that is available to us, and learn about myths and realities of gender violence and understand how our society condones it. So those are some of the things that we have to do.
And speak out.
Speak out, right.
When anything happens at school or wherever, speak about it. Don't be silent.
Now punctuate or put a stop to sexist and discriminatory language.
Totally. We may not be promoting the existence of LGBTQI. Right. But the language that we use about them, we could forget about that. The discrimination is not needed.
If you're riding in a minibus and there are some songs that have been played, some lyrics about women, I can't repeat some of the words I was saying
Yes,
one day, and
yeah.
I was embarrassed, and I start, kind of making my presence felt. I said, what? I said, so what kind of song are you playing? And so gradually he turned the music down and eventually turned it off. And sometimes it's the way we approach these men and women who are driving minibuses and so on, and let them know that this language is discriminatory and it's not needed.
You see, because we seem as though when we don't speak, that we accept them, we don't have a problem.
Yeah. Be analytical and questioning in the media.
Yes.
Because the media portrays girls a certain way and women a certain way, whether in television, online, in magazines, or in music videos. The media uses images of violence against women and sexually exploits girls and women to sell their products. Can we not have some young people writing emails to a particular company about these negative images of women and girls?
Of course they can. They can even visit the particular company or for example, the Calypso Association. The Gender Equity Commission could make a move to speak with them. We have in Carnival.
Yeah.
So they're going to be Calypso. So the commission could look at the possibility of speaking with the Calypsonian or the Calypso Association to ensure that we don't have this stuff that we have on a regular basis.
Here's another one. Go tell the world and do so in positive ways. Mainstream media, we may not need to rely on mainstream media, but we have social media. That's a great way to share articles, tips and tools for the prevention of violence against women.
And share our thoughts.
Yes. How about communicate to authorities on messages and or photos that seek to communicate to them about these messages and or photos that seek to exploit women and girls.
Yeah.
We could Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You hear me talk about Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Some of them are not familiar with it, but I'm learning.
Yes.
I am learning.
That is what is part of the social media.
Yes, I'm learning. Interrupt abuse, but do so with qualified help or assistance. Because sometimes you may see a girl grab a boy or a boy grab a girl and push that boy or girl into the locker or into a section of your school, and you try to say something to stop that kind of abusive behavior, and in turn somebody turn around and hit you.
Yes.
So
or verbally abuse you.
That's correct. So even though you're trying to interrupt the review, interrupt that particular abuse, you do so with qualified help and assistance. Look out for those who engage in sexual harassment and seek help to stop it. So please, young people, don't engage in any forms of sexual harassment. Catcalling, unwanted touching, and all these sorts of things. I mean, boys and girls, men and women, we are brother's keeper. I'm asking us, neighbors, friends, don't look the other way. Don't just draw the blinds or the curtains and say, look, that doesn't concern me, it's Jeannie and their business.
Exactly.
No, we must be
it's all of us, our brother's keeper, all of us business.
Yeah, brother's keeper. Create action plans, personal and or otherwise. Plan ahead what you will do in situations where people you know or strangers, if they are going to be abusive, you plan ahead. Look, I am about to go home this evening and right away I having gathered more information about gender-based violence, I'm now going to be, making sure that I walk certain places, don't go, certain things and so on, and make sure that I am careful as
and then share the information that you receive. Don't keep it.
Yes.
Don't be so silent, secretive, but share.
How about avoid putting the blame on the victims? Sometimes we blame girls, we blame women for how they choose to dress or judge their behavior. Violence can't be prevented through limiting the freedoms of girls and women.
Everybody have their basic rights.
The violence to continue because perpetrators become invisible and not held accountable. And those who witness the abuse, they remain silent. Yes. And please avoid putting the blame on the victims. On the other hand, I'm also saying to our young women especially, know how we dress and do so appropriately. You know, put an end to the rape culture. Somebody said that we have a rape culture in St. Vincent and Grenadines. I'm not sure.
We accept it.
Yeah, we accept rape.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so sad. That is so sad.
It is part of the general gender-based violence culture. Because we accept it, we see it happening in our homes, so, you know, mommy interfering with daddy, interfering with daughter, stepdaughter, whoever. So while it is not considered, it is called incest, it is rape.
Okay. We got to stop. We got to put an end to that culture. One way to stop that is by not allowing people to minimize or normalize sexual assault and rape through jokes. And if your peer tells a joke about sexual violence against girls and women, say you don't find it funny, and you won't tolerate it. Gender-based violence is about violence and not bullying. The term bullying to label violence against girls and women masks the truth of what is really happening. By labeling it correctly, you are helping to stop a culture which normalizes and minimizes violence against girls and women. And these tips for youths, basically we are more or less cutting and pasting them to our situation in St. Vincent. But the source from this is Newfoundland, Labrador, and that's www.gov.nl.ca, and you can pick up more from them on these issues. Review your own ideas and beliefs about gender-based violence. Stereotyping men's and women's roles should be stopped, as you had mentioned earlier in this program. Violence is a choice, and this is preventable. You don't have to kill anyone.
Not at all.
You don't have to shoot the man.
You don't have to injure anybody.
No.
You don't have to harm anybody. You're not harming yourself.
And here, do not support the notion that violence is caused by mental illness, lack of anger management skills, alcohol, drug abuse, stress. Violence is a choice, and it is preventable.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself and be supportive of others. Be aware of available resources for girls and women, and we would have mentioned some of these this evening. Be a mentor, become a mentor, understand and practice consent. Adult men and adult women should be married, remain respectful when entering into a sexual relationship, and should not feel entitled to women's bodies. Just because you're a nice guy, just because you have a nice afro puff, does not mean that you should have any expectations. Any final thoughts on this fight? I find this is really exhausting this evening. And emotionally, it affects me because I am feeling hurt for my brothers and sisters out there.
I just want to remind our Vincentian society that gender-based violence is rooted in gender inequality. And it all has to do with the abuse of power and harmful norms. Gender-based violence utilizes power and control, where one individual, whether male or female, is trying to use their power to control the other. I would like in St. Vincent and the Grenadines for our public servants to take their roles and responsibilities, particularly those who have responsibility to address the issue of gender-based violence very seriously. And remember that our youths are our future leaders, and that we have to be there for them, to protect them and to lead them. So please, leave your comfort zone in your office and go out to the communities and reorganize and re-energize the youth and the women and all the other community. We used to have student councils. Every secondary school had a student body. We want to see that again. So the youths could be part and parcel, and the women can be part and parcel of the decision making. We have how many men in parliament? How many women? We need to be part and parcel. Young people and women are the mobilizers and the workers in our Vincentian society. And we need to listen to them, to hear them. But we can't hear them if they are not organized and functioning. Thank you.
You have been listening to Build the Nation, your bi-weekly edition this evening. Gender-based violence in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We have touched, just scratched the surface, having examined various areas, and we have come to you through the compliments of www.bayhillnews.net. Check us out on the World Wide Web. This evening we have been speaking with consultant specialist in gender affairs here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ms. Janine Oliver, and she is now head of the Marian House here in St. Vincent, the only professional counseling services that has been set up. And ladies and gentlemen, we have been blessed to have her with us. Thank you so much, and we hope that next time you will find a little time to come back to us in the very near future.
It's a pleasure, and anytime.
Okay then, thank you.
I am at your service.
Okay. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, He has shown you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Goodbye! It's Build the Nation signing off. All the very best. Bye!
Circling the globe, circling the nations. This is Build the Nation. Build the Nation. Build the Nation. The biggest conversation on this side of the globe. I am Dr. Doris Charles, your hostess. Why not join us on Mondays at 3:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. and on Thursdays at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. for your bi-weekly editions of Build the Nation. If you need to hear conversations on current happenings and more, then invite a friend and tune in to www.bayhillnews.net. It's about radical radio right around the world. Build a Nation. It's a program that highlights issues that touch and concern people's lives. It's about the how, the why, the when, the where, the what, and the who of benevolence, education, jurisprudence, legitimacy, down to earth, no nonsense, affirmative action, talent, and training. It is informative. It's about opinions and, of course, nation building. Looking forward to your comments and calls. 1-784-529-8518 or email us at beldynation@gmail.com. Get in touch again at 1-784-529-8518 or email us at beldynation@gmail.com.